Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped checking your phone completely? Not for an hour, not for a night, not for one of those fake digital detox mornings where your phone is still secretly sitting next to you face down on the table. I mean, really stopped. No scrolling, no notifications, no messages, no random just checking one thing moments that somehow turn into 40 minutes of your life, disappearing into videos, posts, news, and things you were never even looking for. Now here is the crazy part. Most people think giving up their phone would feel peaceful, relaxing, freeing. But what if the first thing you actually feel is panic? What if the silence doesn't feel calming at first? What if it feels loud? What if boredom hits harder than you expected? What if you start realizing that your phone was not just a tool, but almost like an emotional support system you didn't even know you were relying on? And the last habit I discovered during this week was the most important one of all, so do not miss it. Because if you miss that part, you will miss the biggest reason people keep going back to their phones, even when they know it is draining them. So I did something extreme. I gave up my phone for an entire week. And in this video, I'm going to show you what really happens when you disconnect, why it feels so strange at first, what changes in your mind after a few days, and how you can start taking your attention back without needing to disappear into the woods or become some anti-technology monk. By the end of this video, you will understand your phone habits differently. You will know why disconnection feels uncomfortable, and you will have a practical way to feel more in control of your attention again. So, let's begin. The first day was honestly embarrassing. I expected to feel strong, disciplined, focused. Instead, I kept reaching for my phone, even though it was not there. It happened in the morning. It happened while eating. It happened when I sat down to work. It happened when I stood in a line. It even happened in those tiny empty moments where my brain had clearly been trained to say, "Quick, grab the phone before you have to be alone with your own thoughts." That was the first shocking reality. I was not just using my phone when I needed it, I was using it whenever life gave me even 2 seconds of space. And once you notice that, you cannot unsee it. A lot of us think our phone addiction is about entertainment. But for many people, it is actually about escape. Escape from boredom. Escape from awkwardness, escape from stress, escape from silence, escape from thinking too deeply, escape from feeling uncomfortable in the present moment. And when that escape disappears, your mind starts acting weird. On day one, time felt slower, way slower. A normal afternoon started to feel longer than usual, and at first I thought that was a bad sign. I thought, there is no way I'm making it through a full week like this. But then I realized something important. The day was not actually slower. I was just experiencing it without constant interruption. Usually, my attention gets chopped into tiny pieces. A message here, a notification there, a quick check, a short scroll, a random distraction, another scroll before I even realize I opened the app. And when your attention is constantly broken, your day feels scattered. Without the phone, I suddenly felt every part of the day more clearly. At first, that felt uncomfortable, but that discomfort was revealing something. It showed me how dependent I had become on stimulation. That is the second shocking reality. When you disconnect from your phone, you do not just lose distraction, you meet your real baseline. You find out what your brain feels like without being constantly fed. And for a lot of people, that first meeting is not pleasant. On day 2, boredom hit hard. And I do not mean cute, peaceful boredom. I mean restless boredom. The kind where you keep looking around like something should be happening. The kind where your brain starts craving novelty. The kind where even simple tasks feel harder because your mind keeps expecting a reward that never arrives. This is where most people would quit, because they think boredom means something is wrong. But boredom is not always a problem. Sometimes boredom is just withdrawal from overstimulation. That changed the way I saw everything. Think about it. If your brain is used to constant input, then normal life can start to feel dull by comparison. A walk feels too quiet. A meal feels too still. A conversation feels too slow. A waiting room feels unbearable. Even resting can feel uncomfortable because your mind has forgotten how to exist without being entertained. That is a huge problem. Because if normal life starts feeling empty, then your phone does not just become a device. It becomes your favorite way to avoid reality. And that is where things get dangerous. Because little by little, your attention stops belonging to you. Now, here is where the story gets interesting. Around day 3, something started to shift. Not dramatically, not magically, but noticeably. My mind was still reaching for stimulation, but not as desperately. The urge was still there, but weaker, and in that space, something else began to return. Awareness. I started noticing things I usually ignored. I noticed how often I used my phone to avoid small emotional discomfort. I noticed how many times I would normally interrupt real life just to check something unimportant. I noticed how often I confused being stimulated with being happy. That one hit me hard. Because stimulation and happiness are not the same thing. A phone can keep you occupied for hours without making you feel better. It can fill your time without filling your life. It can make you feel busy without making you feel fulfilled. And once I started seeing that, the whole week stopped feeling like punishment. It started feeling like an experiment. A real one. Like I was finally watching my own habits from the outside. One of the biggest moments happened during a simple walk. Usually, I would walk while listening to something, checking something, or thinking about something I had just seen online. But this time, I just walked. No screen, no audio, no endless input. And at first, it felt empty. Then it felt calm. Then, strangely, it felt rich. I started noticing details, the sound of movement, the rhythm of my own thoughts, small things around me that I normally would have missed completely. That was when I realized another shocking reality. Your phone does not just take your time. It takes texture away from your life. It smooths over the little moments that make being alive feel real. The pauses, the observations, the random thoughts, the quiet clarity. Without those moments, life can start feeling flatter than it actually is. And that is why so many people feel mentally crowded but emotionally empty. They are consuming non-stop, but rarely absorbing their own experience. By day 4 and 5, I noticed something even more surprising. My focus got better. Not perfect, not superhero level, but better. Tasks felt less fragmented. I could stay with one thing for longer. I was less itchy, less jumpy, less pulled in 10 directions by invisible digital strings. And honestly, that felt powerful, because it reminded me that attention is trainable. If your phone has trained your brain to switch constantly, that does not mean you are broken. It just means your brain adapted to the environment you gave it. And if that environment changes, your brain can change too. That is good news, because it means you are not stuck like this. You are not doomed to live with a permanently fried attention span. You can rebuild it, slowly, practically, repeatedly. Now, let's talk about relationships, because this part surprised me too. When I was not checking my phone, conversations felt different. More present, I was actually there. Not half there. Not listening while mentally waiting for the next buzz. Not pretending to pay attention while part of my brain was elsewhere. And that made moments feel deeper. Not because life suddenly became dramatic, but because presence makes ordinary things feel more meaningful. A short conversation feels fuller. A meal feels warmer. A laugh lasts longer. Even silence with another person feels less empty. That is something many people do not realize. Phones do not always destroy connection in obvious ways. Sometimes they just dilute it. They turn full attention into partial attention, and partial attention slowly weakens the quality of your life. By day 6, I felt lighter. That is the best word for it. Lighter. Less mentally cluttered. Less reactive. Less hooked by every random impulse. And no, I was not suddenly cured. I still wanted my phone back. I still missed the convenience. I still missed easy entertainment. I still missed the quick dopamine of checking things. But now I could see the trade-off more clearly. The phone gives you convenience. But if you are not careful, it also takes your stillness. It takes your focus. It takes your patience. It takes your tolerance for boredom. It takes your ability to sit with life as it is. And if you lose those things, you lose more than time. You lose inner steadiness. Then came day 7, and this was the biggest lesson of all. The hardest part of giving up the phone was not losing information. It was losing instant relief. That was the final habit I told you not to miss, because this is the real reason many people stay attached to their phones. Not because every notification matters. Not because every app is useful. Not because every scroll is enjoyable. But because the phone offers immediate emotional escape. Feeling awkward? Check the phone. Feeling stressed? Check the phone. Feeling bored? Check the phone. Feeling lonely? Check the phone. Feeling unmotivated? Check the phone. Feeling uncertain? Check the phone. It becomes the fastest exit from discomfort. And once your brain learns that pattern, disconnection feels painful because it removes your favorite shortcut. That is why this matters so much. Because when you always escape discomfort instantly, you never build the strength to sit through it. And when you cannot sit through discomfort, your attention is no longer in your control. So what can you do with this? You do not need to give up your phone for a full week to learn something from this experiment. You can start smaller. Leave your phone in another room for 1 hour. Take a walk without it. Eat one meal without checking it. Notice when you reach for it automatically. Ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid right now? That question alone can change a lot, because once you catch the pattern, you start getting your power back. And that is the real point. This is not about hating technology. It is about using it without being used by it. It is about remembering that your attention is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Your presence is valuable. And if you protect those things, your whole life starts to feel different. So, what happened when I gave up my phone for a week? I got bored, I got restless, I got uncomfortable, then I got clearer. Calmer, more focused, more present. And most importantly, I saw just how often I had been handing my attention away without even realizing it. If you take anything from this video, let it be this. You do not need to escape every empty moment. Some of the best parts of your life begin when you stop running from silence. Because on the other side of that boredom, on the other side of that discomfort, on the other side of that urge to check your phone one more time, is your mind. And once you learn how to be with it again, you will not just use your phone differently, you will live differently.